Kay and I are down at Sue Hammond's abode, and today we're going to make some honey. The first thing is getting the
smoker going.
The smoker going. That's the first step in this whole process.
Without the smoker, you're toast. The smoker is your friend. It's your only friend when you're in the beehive, actually.
And the beehives are over here.
So that bottom box, Terry, the two bigger bottom boxes are full of bees and baby bees and pollen and honey that they will eat. Yeah,
Kay put on her best clothes for this.
I'm tucked in.
She's totally tucked.
I'm rubber banded.
She's rubber banded. Now we're going to put her hood on.
And now I'm getting my bee hood.
Now she's getting the bee hood on.
Oh,
This
man.
is the most important piece of gear that you have.
Should I have?
All right. This stuff, let me tell you about this stuff, Terry. This stuff is called Be Quick. It has lots of meanings. We're going to spray this inside that fume board there, and bees hate this smell. It's totally organic. It's just something they don't like. So we're going to spray this in there, let it evaporate, then we're going to put the fume board on the beehives, and those bees will go down in the box, in theory, and we'll take the honey and bring it in the garage. Oh, well, there's just too many bees on here. So what I'm going to have to do is pull out each frame and dust the bees off with my bee brush. And then before they get back on it, cart it in the house. And so I'll just take each frame out and run it in the house. And then we'll be ready to put the honey in the jars. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull each little frame, and I'm going to, see I have small hive beetles on here.
And what did the small hive beetles do to you?
Oh, nothing. They're just an annoyance. you know, I don't like them, but they're mainly just annoying. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 frames in each box, so there'll be 18 frames of honey for us to pull and put in jars. You know, some of these frames may not have, okay, so there's honey that has a cap over it, and that means that it's the perfect water content. So if the honey's got a cap on it, it means that it's perfect for harvesting, and there's not too much water in it. If it isn't capped, then you really shouldn't put it in jars because it has too much moisture content. This frame doesn't have hardly any honey on it, so we're just going to leave it in the box. In this frame, see, some of them quite a bit of it isn't capped, so there's too much water content. I think it's supposed to be 18% or less water before they put a cap on it, and they know exactly what it takes to get that. So what we'll do is we'll just scrape off the part that's capped, we'll leave the part that isn't on here, and the bees will clean it all off. Now most beekeepers that make money, they rent their beehives and they move them across the country to pollinate different crops at different times of the year. They don't want the honey at all. Yeah, he did. Yeah, exactly.
Right in there.
Such a nice guy.
And I still need to get you a recipe for his potatoes.
Oh my gosh, yes, I do. Those were so good.
And I was going to send you the recipe for the
Yeah, what was it?
the crock pot dressing.
Oh yeah.
Thanks.
6 frames are scraped, and we only scraped the honey off that was capped, so it's got the right moisture content.
And tell him how they cap it.
Oh, they just put a little wax over the end.
And then they...
Oh, well, they fan it. You know, when they first stick all the nectar in the hole there, to get it to the right moisture content, they fan it with their wings, and somehow they can tell exactly when it's 18% moisture. And then they put a cap on it. It's amazing. So all right, let's look at this. Yeah, I think that these frames were put back on maybe July, something like that. So July, August, September, so maybe 3 months.
When did I come?
I have it on the calendar somewhere when you came, but it depends on the flowers that are available and the drought. At the height of their production in the summer, probably like in the July time frame, there's probably 50,000 bees in the whole unit. And that's a good strong hive, somewhere between 50 and 75,000 bees. Right now, based on what I saw out there today, there might be 40,000 bees. You know, it's a guesstimate, but not nearly as many as there are in the summertime when they're in full swing. Right now, the queen is slowing down her laying because they know it's getting to be winter time. And so in the winter, the queen, I think, I don't know if she stops laying completely, but she definitely slows down. And then they just try to maintain over the winter. And then she really gets going again down here in South Texas in about February sometime. Yeah. The hive has to be maintained at a constant 96 degrees, summer and winter. So in the summertime, they're getting a lot of water and bringing it back to the hive and fanning it to keep the hive cool. And in the wintertime, they're all clustered together. It's called a cluster. And in the middle of the hive, and all that warmth from each other keeps it to the perfect temperature.
And what temperature?
96 degrees.
In the winter?
In the winter, summer, all the time. So up north, what they do to keep the bees alive is they wrap tar paper around the entire hive. They put like a thermal blanket and wrap it with tar paper, and then the bees can't come out.
Oh.
Bees like to get out. They like to clean the hive. If any bees die, you can see them carrying them away. It's amazing. But so here in Texas, I don't close up the hive entirely. I leave a little bitty entrance hole where they can come and go, and I leave it like that in the winter. Now, if it's going to be icy or something, sometimes I'll throw a blanket over them, but not very often. Yeah, this is just raw honey. This is just it's not processed. We're only running it through a slight filter, a filter paint cloth actually, so that you get pollen in there also. It's not going to be cooked, and then let's flip it upside down. Yeah, and it's not going to be heated. A lot of times in the stores, the honey will be heated, and that's what makes it a darker color quite often. But that just means they've heated it and processed it. And a lot of the medicinal value of honey is lost when they do that. Then it's just a sugar substitute, basically. So, yeah. And the color of the honey in these frames depends on the kind of flowers that were in bloom when they gathered it. Yeah.
We brought one in.
One moment, please.
Oh.
So, all right, let's lift
Okay, wait a
this
minute.
sticky thing up.
And,
All right.
okay.
Now then, this is my Berkey super duper, very expensive water filtration system that did not work. So I have converted it into a honey straining device. And so the honey, as you can see, is going to strain out of this cloth into the top of the Berkey unit. It's going to flow into the bottom unit of the Berkey unit. And then there's a little spigot on this end, and we shall get the honey out of it right there. So
that was 6 frames.
That was 6 frames of honey. Hey, don't get too wild now, girl. These are the small ones.
Okay, we'll cut off here.
You ready for the finger stop?
Not yet. So I'll put up this one. How about that?
That's good. All right. Yeah, we're just going to have to use the hot method of processing here, where we just let it run out. 1, 2, 3, 4 full quarts plus 24 half pints.
Alright.
And they're lovely. And then I'm going to put a label on them, and then you'll be able to see them.
And come get a picture of the
beautiful.
beautiful golden color.
It's lovely. Label on each jar. AJ's honey, named after my recently deceased sister. And my little granddaughter drew that bee. And anyway, so I'll put a label on every jar. And then what's left in there's a giant bag in here, the filter bag, that's full of the wax. It's called the cappings. And there's probably another big jar of honey in that wax. So I'm going to let it continue draining. And then what I'll do is I'll take this bag and I'll run it through water, lots and lots and lots of water, and wash off the wax. And then I'll melt the wax down and I'll turn it into like a bar. And then you can either sell it for mustache wax, or you can make candles with it. You can make hand lotions and face products with it, that sort of thing, but I've never actually gotten into any of that yet. And then that's the end. The end. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take these scraped frames and this plastic cloth out into the yard. And the bees will come not only from my beehive, but from the whole neighborhood. And they'll come in and they'll clean every speck of honey off of this and take it back to their respective hives and put it away again. It's amazing. See this, the hives that we put out, the honey, you can see it's now just covered with bees from my hive as well as the neighborhood. So I took all of those wax cappings that Kay and I cut off of the frames, and I put them in a crock pot and I heated them up. And you can see the pieces now in the crock pot. The buttery yellow, this buttery yellow color is the beeswax. And this brown color here is the propolis, which is sap that the bees collect from the trees and bushes and things, and pollen. So it separates out. So I'm going to clean it another couple of times to make sure that this yellow part is just as clean as it can be, and that's what people use for pure beeswax.